My summer in Europe is going out with a bang. My girlfriend Elizabeth flew to London to meet me for a week-long adventure through Venice and Rome. I'm excited to share how we stayed on budget while eating amazing food, meeting fantastic people, and making memories in two of the most beautiful cities in the world. Welcome to Venice.
So good.
All right, this is the Venice we were talking about. Just got in and we're gonna try to find our way. All right, this is the first big tourist stop of the trip. This is Rialto Bridge. It was built way back, originally in 1173. It's fallen apart a few times, and the bridge you see today was actually built still pretty far back in 1588. It's also a market, and there's lots of really cool vendors you can check out. When you're looking for a lunch spot, you've got to get the ratio of authenticity to great views. So for example, my table right now has this view. It's pretty fantastic. However, the food that I'm ultimately going to get won't be as high of a quality or as great of a price as someone that might be further out from the big touristy spots. So the more touristy the site, the more touristy the food, as a general rule of thumb.
After lunch, we changed into our swimsuits and walked past the iconic St. Mark's Square to board the Vaporetto, Venice's public ferry system. We're headed to a spot frequented by locals but often skipped by visitors, the Lido Beaches.
Just made it onto the Lido, and the first thing you really notice about this area of Venice is there are cars, and that's because it's on a completely different island. And on the main historic section of Venice with all the canals and gondolas, the water actually isn't safe for swimming, and it's also illegal to swim. So when Venetians want to take a dip in the Adriatic, they come here. I'm gonna give a rough estimate that the water in the Adriatic Sea today is somewhere between 70 and 80 degrees. It's practically bath water, but it is still very refreshing. Do you want to?
I'll go with you.
All right. We're gonna take the plunge.
We did an underwater shot and it came up.
Well, that's a good idea.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, let's do it. Ready?
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Oh.
What?
Oh, it's still recording. I thought I turned it off because I couldn't see it on the screen.
You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
With our Italian beach day in the books, we took the Vaporetto back to Venice proper to get ready for our big night out at the opera.
Now we're on the way to Musica a Palazzo. It's 19th century style opera, but it's a really unique style of theater because instead of just one open stage, it's a series of rooms, and you get to follow the actors through each small room, and it's a really intimate, about 40-seat venue, and I'm really excited to check it out.
It was so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Break it down for me. What did you like?
All of it.
All of it?
The opera part.
The opera, that is totally fair.
We'd been up since 5 a.m., so we got a great night's sleep in the B&B. The next morning, we had breakfast with the owners, which made for a perfect start to our first full day in Italy.
All right, so quick shout out to our B&B here in Venice. This is Ca della Sera. I hope I'm getting that right. B&B here. They're fantastic. Not only are they a reasonable price, but it does also come with a pretty solid breakfast. We had some espresso, some orange juice, and then they gave us
pastries.
Everyone at Ca della Sera was warm and welcoming, but our favorite interaction was with Michelangelo, an 87-year-old architect who helped run the B&B with his son and daughter. Without speaking a word of English, he told us about his family and his life story.
Io di queste nipoti, 4, 3 donne, 3 figli. Federico, Francesco, Riccardo. Federico, architetto.
All right, good morning from Venice, and we're starting it off right by taking a Venetian mask making class. Mask making is one of Venice's most treasured art forms alongside glass making, and to preface everything you're about to see, I am very, very bad at art. So we're gonna do our best to not insult the Venetians with my mask making, but let's give it a try. Yep. All right. So, got the beginnings of a mask here. And you said it's the Sparrow design, because you've got the one from Phantom.
Yes.
Our teacher and the owner of San Marco 596 masks, Giorgio, stenciled traditional Venetian patterns onto our masks for us to fill in.
Up to the first coat. This is how we're looking. With a little gold on top, and she's got hers is much cooler. As predicted, but I went with a relatively.
You're being so brave.
I know, I went with a relatively audacious design, but I am pretty happy with how it's
I
turned
did my
out.
best to color in between the lines before he eventually took over to do decoration. He told us the business has been in the family for 3 generations, currently helmed by his son Nicola, who maintains a strong social media presence for the shop. After our lesson, we took a pit stop to grab some classic Italian gelato.
All right, we just got gelato. What'd you get?
I got fragola e limone,
Oh, I got
which is strawberry and lemon.
fragola e cheesecake. And when you're going to a gelato place, you're gonna want to find the spots that have the metal containers over them.
Because it's less toasty and more fresh, because it shows that there's not preservatives and stuff.
There you go. So get your gelato from the metal containers.
After that, we walked back to St. Mark's Square, which gets its name from the man whose bones are buried inside our next stop, St. Mark's Basilica.
It was initially built in 832 before being pretty significantly expanded in the 900s and then the 1000s. So it is really old and really gorgeous, and also one of the most ornate cathedrals that you'll find in all of Italy, with the exception of St. Peter's, which we'll see in Rome. So it's actually really inexpensive if you plan far enough in advance to visit. It's only €3 to enter, but then there are a couple of extras that are definitely worth it. For another €5, you can go behind me to see the Pala d'Oro, which is this beautiful golden altarpiece. And as well, upstairs, there is a museum and a balcony where you can look out onto St. Mark's Square, and that's gonna be another €7. So all told, really not that expensive to get a lot out of this beautiful centerpiece of Venice. If you want to get this absolutely stunning view of Venice, you only have to ride one Vaporetto stop here to the island of San Giorgio. And right behind me as well is an absolutely gorgeous church from the 16th century that you can go and explore for free. And as well, if you want an extra amazing view, you can head up this fantastic tower that is just out of view at the moment and get a panoramic view of the coast of the island of Venice. It's just after 7 here in Venice, and that means it's time for an evening stroll. And it's not just a fun little way to wind down the day, it's actually a pretty sacred activity to Italians who really enjoy savoring the weather around sunset and following your nose, finding maybe a cool spot to get some pasta or pizza. So we're gonna follow our nose and see what we find.
After a delicious carbonara that I've decided was the best meal of the trip, we got to bed early to get up early to do one last bit of sightseeing at a local bookstore with a really cool gondola photo op. After that, we packed up some pizzas and boarded the 4-hour train ride through the Italian countryside to Rome.
Meal deal.
Oh my god.
What is it?
I don't know. You eat it.
I eat it. Okay. That's good. I like it.
I think when I was expecting it to be sweet and I bit it and there was bacon in it.
Really good.
You have at it.
More for me.
We passed the time by journaling, reading, and checking out the beautiful scenery as we moved south before finally arriving in Rome. Our first stop was the beautiful, massive, ancient Roman temple.
Top of our visit in Rome, the Pantheon.
Originally built as a Roman temple in 25 BC, the Pantheon burned down in 80 AD and was rebuilt in 125 AD by the Emperor Hadrian. Because of its later use as a Catholic church, the Pantheon is one of ancient Rome's best preserved structures, and tickets to get inside set you back only €5.
The Pantheon is also the burial site of famous Italians from across the centuries, like the painter Raphael and the politician and general Victor Emmanuel II. All right, we've just arrived to the very beginning of the Roman Forum. This massive street you see here goes for nearly a mile and ends at the Coliseum, which you might be able to see behind me. But on both sides, you get to see countless amounts of ruined structures and artifacts dating back to the very beginning of ancient Roman civilization. We've got tickets to go down into the Forum itself tomorrow, but there's so much else you can see for free by just walking down the street. So I would highly recommend taking an evening stroll here on your first evening in Rome. All right, we've made it on our Forum walk. It's a couple hours later, stopped for dinner first to the Coliseum right here. We're gonna be going in tomorrow, but at night, it's a lot less crowded and tons of people are out just playing with their families, sitting, enjoying the evening and the fantastic view behind us. So if you wanna come and enjoy the Coliseum in a time where it's not absolutely thronged with crowds, I highly recommend checking it out at around 8 or 9 at night. All right, good morning. Today is our one and only full day in Rome, and we're starting it off right with a tour of the Coliseum. We got to the Coliseum a little before 8:30, and we started at the very back of this line, pretty far back there. But if you get stuck in the back like we did, don't worry, because it hasn't even been 5 minutes, and we're here about halfway through the line. So I would estimate that this line, even if you're stuck wrapped all the way around the side, doesn't take more than 10-15 minutes. So apparently the Romans would organize the way they sat by classes, and the lower class plebs would have to sit all the way at the top. And I can tell you confidently after climbing some of these stairs that that is certainly not a pleasant experience, and we're not even halfway to where they would have sat. So yeah, that would have taken a lot out of me. I would have earned my wine rations after that.
But you only get one wine ration, and everything else is the water that flows from the fountains all the way up to each level of the Coliseum.
So this right here used to be the ground level, and everything you see down there was below ground, and that's where the gladiators and everybody else would be getting ready for the big events. And you can actually go down there for an extra fee, but you can only go with a guide. All right, we just made it to the Roman Forum, this massive collection of temples and ruins from the beginnings of ancient Rome. Can take hours to explore. There's so much here, like the temple to Saturn or the temple to the Vestal Virgins, as well as the massive Senate building you see behind me, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, because you can also head up to Palatine Hill, which is just about a mile walk from where I'm standing right now. And the ticket that got me into the Colosseum also gets me into the Forum, and it was just under 15 euros. Who did you say was buried here?
Like the Little Caesar.
The Little Caesar.
Like the pizza place, but it's
Yeah.
like the Little Caesar.
These grooves in the ground, you can kind of see them. They're like kind of worn out, and you can even see where it's kind of worn across the rocks. But that's where the chariots used to ride, with the horses and the gladiators and stuff.
We just made it all the way up to Palatine Hill. This is a really special, not always open section of the Forum where you can get panoramic, absolutely gorgeous views of the Forum from end to end. So if you've got time and they're open, they're free. So make this little walk up and it's well worth it.
Do be aware though that it is not easy. It is not an easy walk up. It's quite steep.
Quite steep. You can stay in the Forum for hours just looking around, but honestly, it's pretty nice to just take a seat at these different scenic vistas, and it really extends your trip here because you'll get tired a little less often. And there are tons of really great drinking fountains that you can find throughout that give very cold and fresh water, which is very much a necessity in the Forum, and it's nearly 100 degrees outside. All right, we've just left the Forum to catch a little bit of lunch, and we've had an awful lot of Italian food, so I thought it was time that we experienced a different kind of cultural immersion. And just like in Munich, please stay with me. Look at that, you can get cheddar and then bacon cheese. I'm thinking bacon cheese, because I'm an American pig.
They have crispy chicken wraps, which if you're an American and you know how it was at home when they canceled the crispy chicken ranch wraps from McDonald's. This is really emotional.
So we just realized they don't have Diet Coke, but they do have beer at this McDonald's.
It's just the ice cream.
That's just the ice cream?
There we go.
Oh my, tiramisu from McDonald's?
Strawberry cheesecake.
While we enjoyed the Italian McDonald's, something happened that nearly sent the entire trip into a full downward spiral.
So this is the story of how I was pickpocketed, or just had something stolen, by the worst thief in the history of Rome. So I had this bag right here, right? You know this bag. It was sitting down at my feet. And I guess maybe that's my fault for putting things down by my feet, but I look 1 minute because I secretly want to go and pay for dessert for us, and it's gone. It has my wallet in it, but what the thief didn't count on is that I have an AirTag in this wallet. And I sprinted about 800 feet to find her, bathing herself in the public water fountain next to my stuff. She took my cash, couldn't get that back from her, but I thought that this card was stolen because I normally keep it here, and it wasn't in there, but she took it and put it back. And if she does, I have fraud protection. So let's see her figure that out. But yeah, look at that. All done here in Rome. The worst pickpocket ever, and I'm never letting that happen again.
Relieved to have only lost 20 euros, we made our way to the final major stop of the trip.
All right, we've just made it to the Vatican City here in St. Peter's Basilica, but we're not technically in the Vatican just yet. This crosswalk denotes an international border because the Vatican City is its own country. So as of now, we're now in a different country, the Vatican City. It is only 2.2 square miles completely across for all of its surface area. So a lot of its office buildings and things like that for this massive administration of the Roman Catholic Church are actually in Rome itself. And the Italian government gives the Vatican City exclaves, official exclaves of the Vatican that you'll just find randomly throughout Rome. So really excited to get in and check out this fantastic basilica. If you're looking to come to the Vatican, especially in the summer, there are really only two good times to make it work. One is super early in the morning, and the other is later in the day because Vatican is open from 7 to 7. So we came here about 4:35 p.m. and the line is not looking too bad because it moves pretty quickly once you're in. And then once you're in, pretty easy to get up and inside.
The Basilica of San Pietro.
We're not even in yet, and it's gorgeous. Welcome to the Vatican.
Basilica features several side chapels and monuments to popes throughout the Catholic Church's history to explore. We got there just in time to observe 5 o'clock Mass, where priests sang hymns and the massive church organ was played.
All right, we just got out of, yep. All right, we just got out of St. Peter's Basilica. What did you think?
It was gorgeous, and I'm speechless. And yeah.
We had our final dinner in Rome, then got up at 6 the next morning to explore 2 final sites before heading to the airport.
Behind me here are the Spanish Steps. This is one of the most famous staircases in the world, but especially in Rome. And they're named for the Spanish embassy, not to Italy, but to the Vatican, which is just across the street at the bottom. There's also a really famous fountain down there that you can check out and toss a coin into. So it's pretty empty right now because it's just about 7 in the morning, but normally the Spanish Steps are so crowded that there are police officers here making sure that people don't sit down on the steps and clog up the works. So, you know, usually a very, very crowded monument, but if you come see it at 7:07 in the morning, you have a very good chance of having it pretty much to yourself. Yep, we have officially arrived to the final stop of our grand 6-day adventure in Italy, the Trevi Fountain. It's kind of wild that the Trevi Fountain is pretty much always a zoo. This is 7 a.m. and it's pretty packed, but this is still nothing compared to what it normally looks like. But there are a couple of really cool traditions that I'm really excited to try out here at the Trevi Fountain. 3, 2, 1. Yep, probably should have cupped it. There you go, couples fountain.
So 1, 2, 3.
Yep, so
Okay.
what does this mean?
We are coming back to Italy.
All right, show me how it's done.
1, 2, 3.
To Italy, what a great trip it's been. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in Ireland. 1.